radical, then I can get all
Really?
certified.
That's not too bad. Learning process?
Oh yeah, I don't want to learn it again.
You know more than you should, huh?
Right. Actually, we got one item tonight. We just got to finish up the boundary.
Okay,
That had to go back because we didn't have a blacktop surface. So
okay.
that'll take care of the last thing.
Really happy days then.
Yeah, once it's approved, yeah.
Well, I guess we're just about ready.
Mm-hmm.
This might be the group coming. We'll get started here in a few seconds, and I guess, as we usually do, we'll just go around the room and introduce ourselves so the public knows we're being taped initially for about 40 minutes, and they'll switch to live there.
Okay.
Showing the finance from last night, which was Tom, I just said till 10 after 6, so. All right. Good evening, my name's Tom Riom, I'm chairman of the Public Works Committee, and I'll call the meeting to order at 5:30 p.m. on Tuesday, June 4th, 2013. We're in the first floor conference room at City Hall in Wisconsin Rapids. With that, we'll go around the room, and if people will introduce themselves that are here.
Marion Hokamp.
And Dave Laspa, city engineer.
Joe Egsted, design engineer.
Scott Kellogg.
Ralph Amel.
Jerry Bach.
Dan Rosser.
And with that, I'd like to thank River City's Access for, Community Access for initially taping us, as there's no program on for a little bit, then they'll switch to us live a little after 6. This will be shown taped 3 more times, I think, before the next council meeting also. So with that, we'll go to item number 2, and that's request from Ralph Hamill to use non-truck route streets to access RCH during the reconstruction of First Street North and the construction of the roundabout at the courthouse from New Page and Corinso. Dave?
Okay, while our schedule, we were just talking about that we think the right-of-way will be completed, so that would mean city crews would be in replacing the water main, probably mid-July, closing First Street. That, we'll back up a little bit, that's the main route from the New Page Console Well complex into the RCH area truck docks. So in July, we'll be closing off First Street for city crews to replace the water main and sanitary sewer. We will finish up at the end of August. It's expected that the state contractor, the bid letting is in August. The state's contractor would start in September and work up till Thanksgiving. So First Street basically will be closed in 2013 from July through Thanksgiving, opened up for the winter months. I'm anticipating May, and Dan's here. Dan, did you guys figure how long it was going to take in 2014?
I believe we were looking at July end date on that. So
July and May start, or April?
considering a May start, or April start. So.
So you're looking at 3 months in 2014 and probably 4 months in 2013. The truck routes by our city ordinance, the truck routes other than this truck access road on First Street are the state highways, which is Riverview Expressway. That'll be open the whole time. Trucks will be able to go around Riverview Expressway, back in around Spring Street, back to the RCH complex. Other roads that are built for trucks are Jackson Street, A Street, Baker, and Grand Avenue. They will handle trucks with little or no damage. They're constructed. Any of the other streets in here that go straight into RCH is 7th, which turns into 3rd. That's a cold mix street. We'll anticipate damage on that. And 11th Street to Plover is also a cold mix street. They're not built for trucks. So that there'll probably be damage on there. I looked at what the county is doing similarly with frac sand. They're charging the frac sand people the extra trucks over and above what's normal truck they have to pay. Well, in this case, we have basically 0. So we'd be looking at 25 trucks a day. So it would cost about $80,000 to overlay it. So if we use the county's method, we would charge $80,000 to use those streets for the trucks during that time, somewhere around that. The other alternative is special assessments. When a street is used for a truck route, the city gives a 25% discount when it's reconstructed. So in 2013 dollars, that's about a $30,000 hit that the city would take by allowing trucks on a residential street when it's reconstructed. So we ran some numbers. I guess the last thing I got is we went through Google Maps. The present route, we picked a place in the New Page complex and then RCH. Present route is 1.1 miles, takes 4 minutes. If they went around the expressway, it would be 5.8 miles or 15 minutes, so it'd be 11 minutes. Well, that's Google Map, that's probably a car compared to truck.
It's longer with the truck.
If we allowed trucks to use Jackson Street or Grand, A Street to Baker, and then around to Spring is 3.6 miles or 13 minutes. And if we allowed on the blue streets, the residential streets for trucks, it would be 1.5 miles or 7 minutes. So that's basically where we are. We don't recommend putting trucks on those residential streets because we charge special assessments to the property owners when we reconstruct them. But I guess I can turn it over to Ralph now if he wants to.
Yeah, Ralph, I'm sure you do have something to say here. Do you want to come up to the table or?
Well, obviously, I'm trying to get the shortest route as possible, but I'm hearing you say, Dave, that you're gonna cost, you'd wanna charge back the truckers or RCH or our customers around $80,000. That ain't gonna fly. I guess what I would like to see then is allowing us to use, when you said it is a truck route, using Jackson going up Baker, 54 back around Spring.
Yeah, it's technically not a truck road, but it's been built for trucks. And
How
it's been
many,
used for trucks.
what was the mileage on that?
Baker was 3.6 miles
3.6, okay.
compared to 1.1.
Ralph, I'm Mary Knutson from Coranzo, North America.
I'm a little hard of hearing, so.
Oh, I'm Mary Knutson from Coranzo, North America, and I'm here to support you because this is important for the process in my business and how we operate. So I was forwarded that email from the WSI folks.
Okay.
So that's why I'm here, just and
Great.
asking questions.
I wanted you to know about this because
Right.
not many
Right.
people read the wonderful local Tribune, but me probably.
Well, I do read it, but I'm here for that reason. So
Okay.
this is the agenda item that I wanted to participate in or listen to.
Well, I'm, as long as we're both here, then Mary, that I'm sure Corenzo, isn't, interested in
What I
funding
can,
money
yeah,
towards that. Now, the only thing, if we were to use, let's say, Seventh going down Third, one thing that would be required from a safety standpoint is to make that, instead of a four-way stop, two-way. Stop signs going east and west. The other thing would be, you almost have to have, in particular, as it on Seventh there, is no parking on the side of the street. There wouldn't be enough room, because I know now, when they park there, and you can come down there with just, a pickup, and somebody's got a trailer on, it's very difficult. It's two-way traffic. The route going up, East Grand, then coming up, 8th Street, one of my concerns there is the, school during, school year, from a safety standpoint. Plus, when, when you got, crossing guards,
mhm.
they're gonna be stopping. I would, I guess at this point is that until we talk further to people from the New Page company and Corenzo in regards to funding, I'm not here to be able to answer that question. Like, what I'm hearing you say is that you don't have a problem with us using East Grand Avenue, 8th Street, Baker, 54, Back Spring, 2nd Street. Correct, David?
what I'm saying is they're built for trucks, so there's probably not minimal damage. I mean, they're made for trucks, they carried the state highway for years.
For going through to get up there, other than taking the expressway, Dave, that's the only streets
Right, that's
that are
the
built
only,
for trucks.
right, correct. Yeah, the expressway will be open the whole
Yeah.
time. So it's a longer route, but it'll be always available.
On East Grand Avenue, of course, we gotta contend with, 4 stop signs and, 4 stop lights. In Jackson, we only got going up, taking Jackson up Baker, we got 1 stop sign to contend with and 3 stop lights. So I'd like to, at this time, if we, once we talk to Corenzo and New Page in regards to, if you were to give us permission to go down 7th and 3rd, come back to the table, what I would like tonight, if at all possible, to give us permission so we can walk out of here tonight, and we know what traffic we got. I mean, the problem we got here is 2 years dealing with this.
Mhm.
That's the problem. If it was just for this year, it wouldn't be quite so bad. And how far are you going up First Street with the sewer and water Dave?
We're going up to Apricot. Apricot. So in
I don't see
2013, it'll be from the Wood County parking lot. Well, the city crew will be all the way from the Jackson Street Bridge with water main all the way up to Apricot. But I don't think we have to close off the piece
No.
between. So, yeah, and in 2013, you'd be able to use Baker Street
But
unimpeded.
now, I just heard you say Jackson from the bridge.
We're from the bridge, so they
Well,
would have to.
we'll be doing water main where we won't have to close the road down. There'll be a lane reduction.
On Jackson, on the bridge,
No, not on the bridge, on First Street between Baker
and
and
the park,
and
yes,
Jackson, yeah,
okay, and the bridge itself.
right. Baker and the bridge, that piece of,
So,
wide piece
are
of
we
First
gonna-
Street.
Are we gonna be able to make that turn then, or?
Which,
Bad
which side's the
enough-
water
bad
main?
enough
That's on the
now.
north side, isn't it?
East.
Or west side, west side.
I think it's, well, both, I think both utility lines are on the east half of the road,
Yeah, I'm just in this section here,
south.
Yeah.
South half.
south half.
Yep.
So we should be able to keep traffic. It's a wide section of the street in there. We should be able to keep traffic going while we're all we're replacing is the water main in that section. So in 2013, Baker Street will be
Be open, be
unimpeded.
open.
Yeah.
The 2014 is where everything's
Everything shuts
closed
down,
there.
yeah.
So then we have no alternative other than to use West Grand or Riverview Expressway.
Which technically is about 6 miles then,
Yeah.
if you do Google Maps.
Yeah.
Yeah. I spoke with our shuttle carrier, Millis,
Okay.
and they weren't able to, Tracy wasn't able to come at Kenny tonight, but, so I told him I would come. It's gonna have a huge impact on what we store there, what we ship out of there, what we
Right.
ship in there, and financial impact to us, because we pay them by the hour, and they will have to have additional drivers. And our board mill capacity, I work in the board mill, so I'm actually in the New Page facility. We send probably 12 to 15 trucks out of the Rapids Mill to the RSH building when we're on product that needs to go there that we inventory for raw materials for core converting. Also will impact, we send 6 trucks a day from RCH on average, Monday through Friday, over to Fremont. And as far as New Page, I used to work there, I don't anymore, but they have quite a bit of product in the RCH building that WSI is managing, and I don't know if Alex Gould is responsible for that portion of their communication, but it will impact them as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So Dave, this year they could use that first piece there.
Right, they could use the little piece
get
of
to
First
Baker.
Street in Baker and use
What?
Baker to,
Do you know what the distance is on that?
3 point something, did you say?
no, that, Jackson's.
I think it was 3
Yeah,
point
yeah,
something.
3.6 miles, yeah,
Oh, that was using to Baker
Going up
that way.
Baker,
yeah. Spring.
I come up with 3, but that's okay.
well, you did Google Maps.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
That's kind of the road we were.
mhm.
And that's how many
Oh.
stop signs on there?
No, there's only the signal at 8th,
At 8th.
That's what I thought, yeah.
and there'd be a signal the signal will still be in at First Baker Market and 8th and Baker, and then they'll get a signal up here at 54.
Yeah.
And Baker Drive.
any, any thoughts from a safety standpoint, on the, Baker Street, there's 3 stoplights there, eliminating that, or just a flashing?
Where 8th Street comes out.
We're gonna take a look at 8th and Baker for, traffic volumes, but we've never, done traffic control for one specific industry yet. You know, to flash lights so your trucks could go quicker. We try to
Just
handle all traffic
In
equally.
general, I'm just talking just in general even.
Right, we're gonna be
Since they
adjusting.
made that change over on, Jackson over there by the Miller, I mean, that's just a world of
Yeah.
difference, man, they speeded things up.
We're gonna change 8th and Baker. Well, you know, First and Baker's gonna become a roundabout.
Mhm.
I'm real excited about that.
We haven't got any complaints down to the state office building. It's the latest traffic control device. You won't stop for a light. You'll always be moving.
Dave, when this starts, will those lights be off though? When this project commences as
We could put it on flash because the
Flashing.
north leg will be closed off, so,
going up the river?
right.
Mhm.
Yeah, the only movement would be a market left on the first, but I think we could probably live with flash.
That would help, that would even help time-wise.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And 8th and Baker is always green unless somebody comes on 8th.
Because that's,
Traffic.
yeah.
Could you live with, and I'll start with this year, with going up Baker to the expressway?
Well, I've got other parties involved here, so.
And the reason, I guess what I'm gonna get at is that, with the project commencing in July of this year, that, if we could make a decision this month, would be, I guess, better for all concerned in that, if anything, any special signage or whatever, that there'd be time to take care of that. And do you know how soon you all could get back to us? I'm not saying that, that we put it off if we made a decision, tonight to see what, the other parties would have to say, or if you could get, the council meets next week for June.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, I'm sorry, about 2
18th.
weeks, yeah, that's
18th
right,
of June, yeah.
that's right, 2 weeks.
Here's a suggestion, Tom. Why don't you approve the East Grand Avenue, 8th Street, Baker Street tonight, and then after we meet and talk, and if we feel as though it's necessary to go down 7th and 3rd, we come back in for a request and talk about it.
Right, when, at least I'd recommend to the committee that we invite the property owners along
Yeah.
3rd and 7th.
Yeah.
Before we,
Mhm.
we allow. We rode the street, it's not in that good shape. Our records say it's cold mix, so 25 trucks a day is gonna,
And 25 trucks a day is, it could be more some days. I mean, I'm just talking about, I don't know what New Page sends, because they use a different shuttle service, Great White, so.
I took an average, Mary,
Was it 25?
you know.
Yeah, okay.
There's gotta be a lot of rock there, Dave, because all the drilling we've been doing, we hit rock all the time over our streets in the river.
yeah.
So Ralph, was yours to go up East Grand to 8th, is that what you said, or,
Well, give it,
or the first year
The
that,
shortest
the first year that
would be the best.
first piece, that one, that long block with the curve there is accessible, right?
Yeah,
The first year.
there'll be some construction there.
Yeah.
It'll be narrowed down while we're doing the water.
It might be
main.
easier going up East Grand, but that would,
You have to play it by ear.
I guess,
when
you
we're in
know,
there.
when I was, like I said, we know we can go Riverview Express.
Yep.
There's no question about that. What I'd like to see approved is the other two other alternatives using, Jackson and Baker, or using East Grand Avenue going to East Street over to Baker.
But there's a lot, you're gonna have a lot of stop signs and stoplights on that second one.
That's,
Did you count how many?
East Grand Avenue, 4 stop signs and 4 stoplights.
Can those stoplights be flashing? I mean, this is maybe silly, but the stop signs, I understand they keep them there, but the stop lights, can they be flashing yellow and then red going across? So at least the trucks wouldn't have to.
So they could,
They could, but then you got a potential safety problem. When, those lights, most of them have been put in there because of, at least like 8th and Baker, I know and the others have put in there because of safety problems. And a lot of times, well, most of our signals, if they're traffic actuated, we run them 24 hours because we were getting a lot of accidents when they're on flash at night.
Okay, I was just brainstorming.
well, the other thing too is you have to think about what you had mentioned, Ralph, was the kids in the school by,
Cross,
you know, how school and that, you know, as far as pedestrian
Right.
traffic and,
It's an option, it's not what I'm, would
not
would
one of
want to
your,
see using on a
Yeah.
continuous basis, but, you know, if there's if there's a problem someplace, at least that the trucks are allowed to come through there.
yeah, right.
I mean, you got the hill there by the post office, which again is another,
Yeah.
a novice truck driver sometimes could have a little problem taking off from that. And then we got the railroad, no matter which way we go, we got the railroad tracks to contend with on First Street.
Mhm.
So until they block it very long, if at all, but they got the crossing there. It could be a matter of a few minutes, but nothing we can do about that.
well, what if we approve one of the, or not the blue line on our map, the other going up the expressway this evening?
And Baker Street.
Yeah, Baker Street to the expressway.
Mhm.
And I guess if you feel there's something, whatever, I guess you can come back.
Mhm.
That would put the thing in motion, because next month is when they're looking at, starting
Yeah.
the project.
Mhm.
And as Dave said, to go down the other way, we really should invite the neighbors along there
I
to
bet.
be invited into the process.
I think that's a dangerous situation that way.
Mr.
I'll make a
Chairman,
motion.
And going by the house school, that jumped out at me, I guess, right away, but it also happened that where we did have a lot of our traffic going before, so that, the school is there, but, from the trucker's standpoint, then the other vehicles have to be extra alert if that needs to be, along with the crossing guards when school's in session, summertime, the vast amount aren't there. I'm not sure what they have for summer school at the different schools.
Yeah. They have-
Maybe Scott
they
could
may
help
have
us
some-
on that.
They may have summer school there. Plus, not only do you have all the safety issues, but you've talked about time. I mean, that's gonna cause a lot of slowdown. I mean, if you
Mhm.
look at beginning of school,
Yeah.
at the end of school, not only do you have traffic for safety, but it's gonna slow down any of the trucks.
Yeah, right.
That's, you know, one of
So
the
it kind of
things
is a
I'm concerned of.
mood issue, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah, the expressway's got, well, the signals are timed and it's 40
Yeah.
miles an hour, so, you know, in theory, it's probably the same flow, the same time as going through all those obstructions.
It's just a little further.
Yeah,
That's all.
Yeah, right.
But you won't have the stops and that.
And safer.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Right.
Oh, we wanna leave a few options for the truck drivers,
I mean, it will definitely have an impact on the productivity and the flow of our product in and out. You know, we're tenants of NewPage, so we have one shipping dock and very little room. And our production capacity has increased in the last 3 years, like 30,000 tons from where it was in 2010. So there's more product going out from our facility, which we just don't have the room to store it and actually have the truckers. We do send some direct, but hence we have to have the warehouse at RCH. It's the necessary evil. You know, we have round the clock shuttle drivers that are taking product over to RCH 7 days a week. So I know I did talk to the contact at Millis right before I came here. He wasn't able to come, and he said that, you know, they definitely will, it's gonna impact them having to have additional bodies. And of course, they charge us by the hour, so it's gonna impact us, our rates for transit there to RCH.
Jerry, did you have something? Then
I'm not here on this issue, but, you know, decisions like this are always seem to be best if there's some compromise. And listening, I think the Baker Street, if you could promise Baker Street to them, now you go back to your construction crew and say, you gotta design that turn off of Jackson onto First there up to Baker to allow trucks while you're doing this first stage of reconstruction. And when you get to the second stage, even though you aren't gonna like it, I think the expressway is your best.
It's gonna be.
Trucks down West Grand or East Grand Avenue and past the Dairy Queen and through the high school and 8th Street.
There's too many,
well, with the, and the
Yeah,
extra
you'd be
stops.
the
faster
and
extra
that,
stops.
if you could just keep going, it would be different.
And, you know, a project like this, even though we got two of the key industries in town that we wanna keep healthy, we've also got a community, that part of the road needs some construction to help with other things, and it's that sort of compromise, it gets to be a win-win for everybody, and I think Ralph's on the right track, let's try to get a decision forward tonight so you can do the planning with the construction.
Yeah.
And then everybody can move on with what's gonna happen.
Yep, I agree.
I just didn't want this old bombshell to drop. If the backhoe goes in the first
Right.
piece of blacktop, nobody knows anything about it.
Yep.
Cause they can,
Yeah,
construction wise, they can do wonders if they know ahead of time that they're gonna have to allow truck traffic.
And I've been talking to Dave about this for a year already, knowing this is coming.
Are you
Committee?
make that motion?
Hmm?
I'll make that motion that, they take and, use Baker Street. Jackson Street to the Baker Street there,
That little short piece
Yeah,
to get to
mhm.
Baker.
right,
For the first year,
yeah.
okay, for 2013.
Mhm.
Then 2014, are we gonna come back or?
Well, I think you should,
or we could put on the expressway and see what,
yeah. But I think if we get this done, we can see how it goes, you know. That's the main thing, for this year at least.
Well, if
Okay.
you put it down for 13 and 14, and then come back, if there's a concern, that way you have it done once, you know, 13th and year 14, and then next this time next year, if there's a problem, then come back.
Yeah.
That might be a way
Is
of,
that okay with your motion?
So what do you have there, Dave, I guess?
I guess for the year 2013, 2014, trucks accessing RCH would be allowed to use First Street to Baker Street to Spring Street. You didn't say
Yeah.
accessing, but I'm assuming you only want the trucks that are going to RCH. We don't want to
Right.
invite
Yeah,
anybody else.
no, right, yeah.
And the second year,
Is that
That-
2013, 2014?
same thing.
They can always bring it back at
Right.
something.
that's what. I would second that.
And 2014, that first piece, the short piece would be available.
Well, 2014, Baker Street will be closed between Fifth Street and the bridge.
Mhm.
they won't have
They'll have
an
to use-
alternative.
They'll have to use the expressway or
Or-
come back and use Jackson or Graham.
Graham.
depending.
Mhm.
Yeah, and they're not
Yeah.
gonna wanna do that. The expressway is gonna be what they're gonna wanna use.
Well, they can always have to come back then for 2014.
So we'll go over that again, Dave.
Okay.
Make sure we got it here.
For 2013, 2014, for trucks accessing the RCH complex, they'd be allowed to use First Street to Baker Street to Spring Street.
How's that, Dave? You said First Street?
Yeah, there's a little piece of First between Jackson and Baker.
Baker, yeah.
Baker ends right at Market. First comes all the way down the river to the
Okay.
Jackson
From
Street.
Jackson, yeah.
Okay.
Committee?
I would second it. That's-
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion by anybody? If not, committee will vote. All those in favor respond by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. And that'll be the recommendation at their council review, so.
And when it's actually you're using it, come back and tell us how it's working, so we know.
Okay.
Thank you, Ralph.
Thank you.
For today, thank you.
Yeah, we'll take that. yeah.
Mary, did you sign in for the record?
I did,
Okay.
yeah, I did. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. Item number 3. Alright. Consider changing the pavement marking on the Grand Avenue Bridge to 2 through lanes with 2 bicycle lanes.
Yeah, I thank you for letting us know about this.
Dave?
Okay, right now the Grand Avenue Bridge has 2 5-foot sidewalks for pedestrians and we require bikes to use it. There's a 9-inch curb drop to the pavement. On the pavement, we have 3 lanes, 2 westbound and 1 eastbound. So we have a 36-foot pavement and bikes have to use the sidewalks. We've had concerns over, a bike trail, the minimum width of a bike trail by standards is 8 feet. So as an alternative, there's been safety concerns about this. As an alternative, we could remove the existing pavement marking and mark 2 12-foot lanes and 2 6-foot bike lanes on the bridge, so the pedestrians would use the sidewalks and the bikes would be on the pavement. It'd be a solid white line. And then you'd have at each intersection, this is it's called a shallow. It tells the bikers that there's no more special lane for you, you're in traffic. But it's been used in other cities, so if you had a question, the bike lane will actually, a specific bike lane would end at First Avenue and Second Street. And then the bikes would have to be in the street like other vehicles, or then they can go back onto the sidewalks if they want.
I think that's good because sometimes walking that bridge, you know, and a bicycle comes along, they really have to squeeze into that curb, you know, and you don't, in my mind, the times I've been on the bridge, you don't have a great deal of traffic to have two lanes. You could have just two, one in each direction. And then the safety you have for the bicyclist going around the pedestrian is so much greater. So it makes sense to me.
Yeah, that lane that turns left is very seldom used.
It's fine with me, I guess the only question that would be is somebody going east, you know, when you cross that, the bike lane's gonna come to an end.
Right, the bikes
Yeah.
will have to use the road, or go onto the sidewalks. That's why we put the symbol. I don't know if this is used in the big cities. It's telling you your bike lane is ending the Sharrow.
It's gonna be our first bike lane marking, isn't it?
Yeah,
Pavement
pretty
marking.
much.
And the bikes have to use the stop signs just like a
Yeah.
car,
Yeah.
right? So you come and go in and you're stopping. And
They're doing that now anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
you see them all over Madison and the other cities, and I don't have my tape measure, but I don't think they're 8 feet wide in some of those either, so.
no.
I just wish we could continue it further than what it is.
Yeah, I do
but,
too.
You know, I understand the make of doing it over the bridge, I just wish we could go further with it.
I don't know if you realize that this is my main reason for being here, but this is our new visitor guide to the city.
Yep.
And if you look in here at our bike trails, Grand Avenue is a registered bike trail. And Mr. Kellogg, I think you walk it quite a bit, and so do my wife and I. And just a happening the other night, we were walking and there was a gal that was running with 2 dogs. She was going east. And there was a bicycle coming west, a father with one of those little carts behind his bike with his kids in. Okay, well, naturally, everybody goes to the right side, so the gal with the 2 dogs goes to the side of the bridge that has the railing. The guy on the bike is coming along with that 9-inch drop and his little baby behind him. And I just thought, we've been so lucky for so many years because there's been more and more foot and bike traffic on that bridge. And when we went to the stop signs, and thank you for doing that, you don't have to have a right turn lane.
Yeah.
And as I talked this through with David, the only reason I can see where that is, you know, you got people when they're coming west maybe wanting to make a left turn onto First Avenue. If that presents a problem, just reverse the direction of First Avenue, so they're coming. I mean, First Avenue used to be 2 ways, and
Yeah.
we made it 1 way. So I mean, the change is only for a month or 2 until people get used to what they're doing. But when you drive down Grand Avenue, now you see that line makes that swerve this way, and then it makes that swerve that way. And fostering the bike trail and making the community a little more walker and bike friendly, that center line with a 4-foot bike trail on each side, I think just
Good idea.
makes it a heck of a good idea. So I hope you'll give Mr. Laspa his money he needs to kind of get rid of those lines and,
I think everybody on the committee here, it sounds like, is in favor of it. So.
I just would mention that, if we get a grant on the east side, a federal grant to reconstruct Grand Avenue, we're gonna have to put in, it's a federal requirement, if you use federal funds, you have to have bike lanes on the street. So somewhere down the future.
So then it would continue.
Right.
Yeah.
And just a cost estimate, it would be charged against our pavement marking, it would be about $1,500 to remove the marking, and then probably another $2,000 to mark, but we're gonna have to mark it anyway, so that's
Yeah.
kind of a
Yeah.
given, yeah, so you're about probably new money of $1,500, which would be charged against our pavement marking. We'd have to sandblast. The sign shop is holding off on painting until the committee made a decision, so there won't be fresh paint to blast off.
Yes,
That's a
Yeah.
good, that's good. That's good.
I would add it, I mean, ultimately, it's the right thing to do, and everything Jerry stated is absolutely correct. And I think, talking about an opportunity to do it, safety is number one. I do bike that too regularly when I do my loop around the area. And it's tough to meet a pedestrian on the sidewalk on that bridge, and it's tough to use the bike lane in the road because of the lane in the road because it's just so narrow, so. It's the right thing to do. Long overdue at the same time.
Oh, you like it?
Well, it's wide enough that there's two lanes.
Yeah,
Each
now,
way, on each
exactly.
side,
Yeah.
so that's,
Right, we can get a 6-foot lane, the minimum is 5 foot, so we'll be able to get 6, it's a directional bike lane. So you can get by with 5 feet, but we'll have an extra foot for the biker.
Good,
all right.
okay.
Committee?
You like a motion?
Yep, I think so.
Change the pavement marking on the Grand Avenue Bridge to 2 thorough lanes with 2 bicycle lanes. I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. We have a motion and a second to approve the request, and that's to have 2 through lanes for traffic on the Grand Avenue Bridge and 2 6-foot wide painted bike lanes. Any other discussion? If not, committee will vote. All those in favor respond by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it, and that'll be the recommendation to the council in 2 weeks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jerry. Item 4, review and recommend approval of payments for acquisition of right-of-way, permanent limited easements and temporary limited easements for the First Street reconstruction project for the parcel number 21, tax ID 34-05505, located at 80 Oliver Street for the relocation of the parking area.
This is the item we took up last time for Northern Steel Castings, because the bike trail will remove their parking along the vacated Oliver. We were gonna provide them with 2 parking areas for about $9,000, but it was pointed out to council, and we researched it, it has to be a blacktop or a concrete parking surface, even though that whole area is
Yeah.
grandfathered, it's all gravel. But we have to follow our own ordinances, so we're recommending blacktop parking areas with a cost of $16,000, so it'll be about another $7,000 for an asphalt surface, and that would provide Northern Steel Castings with an area for their vehicles, so that the bike trail would be on Oliver Street.
Any questions or anything by anybody? We approved doing it.
Yeah.
Last month, it was pointed out that our parking lots are to be paved, and they're right.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I guess, not all, we approve it to do it, but with the blacktop parking, which would add about $7,000 to the cost, so. I would move that we do that.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion?
Would you mind repeating? I was just walking in when the tail end. What was the motion again?
To do, like, what's it, I don't know if you have a.
Yep, I've got
Okay,
the
to do that, our, the lots are to be paved, and
Mhm.
it'd be to do it with asphalt, and that add about $7,000 to the cost. We recommended to do the project last month.
Yep.
This is just, I guess.
Do it with asphalt, okay.
Pave the part.
So the difference, we're only looking at about 7,000
Yeah.
then as a,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
I read it the first time as 15,000 more, but okay.
No,
Yeah, well, yeah, the
Seven.
original estimate was 9, and then it's roughly 16,000 now with
Okay.
hot mix, so.
with the black.
And the hot mix, how would that be funded? Would it be funded right out of the project itself, or?
Yeah, out of our right-of-way fund, we've got
Okay.
40,000 that we put away
Okay.
for right-of-way, so we'll be using up all the 40.
Okay. I think it's the right thing to do. Again, I mean, I biked up there last night and happened to see my 2 little brothers fishing along the river, but it's rough back there. And I think, it's the right thing to do to pave it. Just, that's a good example too.
Any other discussion? Committee then will vote on the motion. All those in favor respond by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. And that again is the recommendation of the council in 2 weeks. Item number 5, a request to approve amendment number 7 to the Wisconsin DOT ID number 6999-09-09. The First Street Roundabout project to include costs of extending the contract into 2014. The amendment increases the contract cost by $5,547.96, which the DOT will fund 80%, which is $4,438.37, and cost to the city would be 20%, which is $1,109.52. Dave?
Well, Dan's here, I
Okay.
can let Dan explain it.
Okay.
As long as he's here, he
Yeah,
can explain
all
it.
right.
You bet. I'm Dan Ross with AECom, as one of the project engineers for the First Street design. Basically, there was 4 items on there. Like you said, it was extending the time of the contract. With that comes administrative costs by reporting to the DOT, billing cycles, and we also have internal meetings every week. So that added. Plus, the second item would be the review process for the environmental document. It was much more than we anticipated based on previous projects, and I think that it took a long time. A lot of our efforts went into that. I think Dave, you were part of that a little bit too. So that was the second. The third was acquiring city property for a city project. Basically on the plat, we needed to change our plat to get a temporary limited easement from the park, which we did not anticipate that if it was city property, we'd have to, in a city project, we'd have to acquire city property for us. But we had to, so that was another thing we did not anticipate. And the last, I believe, was we did the multi-use trail, engineering staging plans, because this project's going from 2013 and 2014. We just needed to do a few more plan changes on there to do a staging plan and to break out some of the quantities from one construction year to the second. So those are basically the 4 items for that.
And DOT's reviewed this and they're in agreement with this project cost change.
Yeah, and there is an amendment attached that we have in our minutes for this one, so. Any questions or anything by anybody?
Oh, seems like they did their homework. I'll make a motion to approve the amendment number 7.
I'll second it.
A motion, a second to approve amendment number 7. If there's no further discussion, committee will vote. All those in favor respond by aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it. And that's the recommendation to the council in 2 weeks. Item number 6 is a request to approve amendment number 3 to the Wisconsin DOT ID number 6999-11-02. East Riverbank Multi-Use Trail from East Jackson Street to Oliver Street to include costs of Oliver Street parking and extending the contract into 2014. The amendment increases the contract cost by $1,619, which the DOT will fund 80%, which is $1,295.20, and cost to the city of Wisconsin Rapids would be 20%, which is $363.80. Is that supposed to be? We're missing
Yeah,
a zero
yeah,
there.
yeah.
80. Right. Dave?
Yep, again, I can explain this one again.
Okay.
This has to do with a previous item on your agenda, which was the Northern Steel castings. We went through a few concepts on this. We met with the owner out there, what he was unhappy about, what he was happy about. Ultimately, we came up with the parking lot concept, but we looked at putting in some beam guard, bollards, fence, realigning the trail. So we just did some extra work in that area to accommodate that owner so that we could proceed with the project and you guys could get your land acquired through there.
Any questions? No. Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve amendment number 3 as requested on item 6. If there's no further discussion, committee will vote.
I'll second it.
Oh, yeah.
We have a second, all right. Do we have a second? Any further discussion? Hearing none, committee will vote. All those in favor respond by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it.
Thank you very much, I appreciate that.
Thanks for coming.
Is there anything else I need to state for the agenda, or?
You can stay and listen to it all.
I'm ready. But thank you much, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 7 is to remove the permit parking in the city-owned parking area lying between 3rd Avenue, 1st Avenue, Johnson Street, and Goggin Street, the West Side Market Square lot W3, from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., and that's to remove the permit parking. Dave?
Yeah, this is our ongoing effort to remove unneeded signs around the city so we don't have to replace them. We haven't rented a parking space since NewPage removed all the people from their main office building. There's no parking demand anymore, so there's no need for permit parking in that lot anymore.
I don't remember how many we actually had at one point in time.
I
but
think
it wasn't-
about 50.
Yeah, it was a hot topic at one point in time,
Yeah,
several
it
years
was
ago.
used
but,
at one time.
So,
So if you remove this sign, does that mean they could park 24 hours?
I guess in theory, yeah, if somebody wanted to park there.
So if they want to, I just would worry.
Well, see, they can park right now past 5 p.m. The permit was only 7.
Yeah,
Oh, they
So-
could anyways.
Mhm.
Yeah, they could anyway.
yeah.
Okay, I just,
There's so much more that can be done with that instead of a parking lot there.
yeah,
Yeah, it's,
I'll make a
I
motion.
agree, and I think that that's something for someone to look at,
Mhm.
to do.
Bring back that old design we had in that area, get it off the shelf, and let's look at it again.
what did it look like?
Hmm?
What was that design like?
Oh, it was for, small businesses on the bottom and
Oh,
apartments on the top, and close that street off so they could look at the river, and,
okay.
yeah, we've got plans like that, but it's on the shelf someplace. But I'll make this motion to remove the parking permits.
Right.
I'll second
A motion is second to remove the permit parking in the West Side Market Square lot from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Any further discussion? Hearing none, committee will vote. All those in favor respond by aye.
it. Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. That goes to the council. Item number 8 is the new school zones and crossing due to signing plan updates at the following locations. A is Clyde Avenue from Lincoln Street to 140 feet east of Lincoln Street. And B is 7th Street South from 2 Mile Avenue to 140 feet south of 2 Mile Avenue. Dave?
okay, this is part of our ongoing project to remove unneeded signs, but to standardize our school zones according to recommendations by the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices that has changed by DOT. So we're trying to, the street and sign shop have met with the principals of, what was it, 3 schools I had in there? And Grove, Woodside, St. Vincent, St. Mary's, and Washington. We've worked with them, and these are, well, all these next 3, these are new zones that we're recommending, 2 new zones to standardize each school according to the present recommendations. We've got a menagerie of school zones and school crossings that have been put in. Most of them were before I started with the city over 35 years ago, so this is our first really hard look at standardizing the school zones. So these are two streets that we've noticed, mainly we got too many zones. This is a couple we found that we should have in.
Yeah.
That weren't in.
So adding, these are new.
Yeah.
Any questions for anybody? I'll move that we approve the request for these two new school zones.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, committee will vote. All those in favor respond by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, ayes have it. And again, that goes to the council in 2 weeks. Item number 9, that's to remove the school zones due to signing plan updates at the following locations. I guess I'll read through these quickly for the viewing public anyway. We have in front of us. Number 1, Cook Avenue from 300 feet east of Lincoln Street to 600 feet west of 8th Street South. Number 2, 12th Avenue South from 100 feet north of Chase Street to Chase Street. Number 3 is 32nd Street North from 300 feet south of Franklin Street to 300 feet north of Franklin Street. And B, we'll do these all together. Or should we just do these separately all together? B, the school crossing with a school zone. Number 1 is 1st Avenue South at its intersection with 2nd Avenue South. Number 2, 2nd Avenue South at its intersection with 10th Avenue South. Number 3 is 6th Street at its intersection with Oak Street. Number 4, 8th Street South at its intersection with 2 Mile Avenue. Number 5, 32nd Street North at its intersection with Franklin Street. Number 6, Chase Street at its intersection with 12th Avenue South. Number 7, Chase Street at its intersection with Riverview Expressway. And 8, Chestnut Street at its intersection with 8th Street South.
I'll make a motion to remove the school signs listed.
I'll second it.
A motion, a second, to remove these signs that are listed here. Any further discussion? Hearing none, committee will vote. All those in favor respond by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 10, that's to amend the school zones due to signing plan updates at the following locations. Chestnut Street from 200 feet west of 11th Street to 200 feet east of 13th Street South. That's to change it to 140 feet, correct, Dave?
Correct.
And I believe, the numbers aren't the same, I guess, here in all, maybe. We'll see as we go. I got one that just says 40, to get to J. B, Dewey Street from 100 feet west of 12th Street South to 13th Street South, and that's to go to 140 feet. C, East G Street from 100 feet west of 12th Street South to 12th Street South, change it to 140 feet. D, East G Street from 13th Street South to 140 feet east of 13th Street South, that'd be the new 140 feet. E, Grove Avenue from 600 feet west of Lincoln Street to 20 feet east of Sampson Street. Dave, is that what?
Yeah.
That's correct, the number is
correct.
Okay. To 200 feet east of Lincoln Street, and that 200 would go to 140 feet. F, Lincoln Street from 240 feet, which would go to 40 feet north of Clyde Avenue, to Glenwood Heights, 140 feet south of Grove Avenue. G, 10th Avenue South from 100, would go to 75 feet south of Chase, or Gardner Street, to 200 feet, that would be changed to 50 feet north of 2nd Avenue South. H, 12th Street South from, go from 200 feet to 140 feet north of Chestnut Street, where it's 300 feet, we go to 140 feet south of Dewey Street. I, 13th Street South, from, it's 300 feet, did go to 140 feet north of Chestnut Street. 2, again, it's 300 feet, would be changed to 140 feet south of Dewey Street. J, 2 Mile Avenue from, it's 200 feet now, would go to 40 feet east of Lincoln Street. 2, it's 300 feet, it would be changed to 140 feet west of 8th Street South. K, Washington Street, from, which is 300 feet now to 200 feet west of 28th Street North. 2, it's 300, now it go to 980 feet west of 32nd Street North. Dave? I got anything to add to?
No, I'm just amending the school zones to, make them all standardized, and we've met, well, I haven't met, but the street
Yeah.
department's met with the
Okay.
principals.
You said they met with the principals.
Right, and they're in agreement with the changes.
I'll make a motion to amend the sign.
I'll second it.
Have a motion and second to amend the signage that was listed here. Any other discussion? Hearing none, committee will vote. All those in favor respond by aye.
Aye.
Ayes have, or opposed, ayes have it. Item number 10, that's to review the proposed 2013 Public Works project schedule. And we do have a sheet here, so, Joe?
It is updated slightly. I'll just kind of walk you through where we're at right now. We started the construction season with West Grand Avenue water main replacement, which is now complete, except for some pavement markings.
Yeah,
But they've
that
got,
went pretty easy. I mean, it wasn't too long.
yep, everything.
Now that we're done, it seems
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah. A little traffic going here and there, but.
Yep. And we went over to 23rd Avenue. We've got the catch basins, storm sewer work done there, and got the street gravel. The concrete contractor's coming in on Monday to start with the curb and gutter for that street. The crew is just, the mainline crew is finishing up the same type of work on Locust Street. And then they're going to be, the concrete contractor's gonna move right from 23rd over to Locust and get curb and gutter back on that street. And then the crew started today on 9th Street South from Peach to Saratoga. That was the one change that was different from last month's schedule. We moved that project up first, so we make sure we get done before school starts again for that
Mhm.
neighborhood. And then First Street, starting at mid-July. And then finishing up with Pepper Avenue in the fall. And we've got the concrete pavement patching that was done expressly, that was completed May 29th. So they expressly should be open for the rest of the summer.
Good.
I had just made a note here to ask about the Washington Street. How's that going?
Oh, the sidewalk?
Sidewalk?
Because there's federal funds involved, we hired the historical person. She's completed her study we approved 8,200, it came in at 7,800. It's down, it's what they call a section 106 environmental report. Although all we're talking is bike racks and sidewalks, it doesn't make a difference with the federal government. We have to go through all the environmental reviews. So they're in the process of reviewing. And once they're done with the environmental, like First Street, we waited, and then we can finally start. Once we get the go-ahead, we're gonna stake out the right-of-way we need on Washington Street and start meeting with the individual property owners. But I've been told by DOT I can't do a thing until that environmental document is done. So we've located the pins already on Washington
Yeah.
Street, we're ready to go. But once that's approved, it's possible, knowing what we went through on First Street, that we might not be actually constructing sidewalk till 2014. Or probably later in the year, but the right-of-way is gonna take us,
Yeah.
when I got the go-ahead on the right-of-way was think the first week in March. So, and this is only little pieces along First Street. By the time I got a hold of everybody, or, you know, I'm up into 2 months to get people to sign off on right away. So if there is construction season left, we'll finish in 2013 and maybe push to 2014. Everything is going, but when federal money is involved, there's so many things that you have to have approvals for. It takes a long time.
I know, because you going to the soccer games up there, you go down Washington, you think, I wonder how things are going, and,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, you're just concerned, because now, especially with all the green stuff that they got, you think, well, is this gonna go, or is that gonna be taken, and so,
We have a plan for the minimum impact. We're gonna put in a standard walk, and then when we come to the poles, we're gonna, well,
yeah,
using the state bike standards again, we're gonna sloop. It isn't gonna be as pretty as a nice straight sidewalk, but it'll curve around the poles and then come back to a standard walk and then curve around the poles. So to minimize the impact to the people on the south side of Washington Street. We've yet to meet with them, like I said,
Yeah.
right away, but we'll see how it goes. We haven't got any angry phone calls, so everybody's, since our meeting at the school, I haven't had any. Well, I think we met with 2 property owners after that, but other than that, I haven't had any comments since.
I was just concerned, because we wondered, you know, all that we met before, and all the property owners that were there, and just kind of wondering how it's going.
Basically, everything's pretty much on schedule, Joel.
Yep.
As we're looking at it.
Yeah, so
When
far.
do they schedule next year's projects? Is that in July?
Well, we don't have an exact time, but we start, probably when we do the budget, we start the budget. We've already given Tim a preliminary project list for next year. And then, yeah, then we'll be working on a schedule.
This is, as it new for me, do you have several meetings, like the initial meeting and then another one, or is it just one meeting and you review them all, or how does that work?
Well, it's usually between me and Joe, and now we have Nick up in engineering and all our technicians. We go back and forth in water and light and our street department, you know, what needs to be done first. That
It's
it's,
citizen request too.
yeah.
Is that a hearing, in a sense where the public's invited?
Oh, the hearings are already done.
Okay,
See, we have a public hearing. We try to have the public hearings like, well, we don't usually get there all the time, but we're trying to get the public hearings done a year or 2 ahead of time, where the public is invited in and they get to speak their mind, what they think on the project. It's a requirement by state law because we're charging them for special assessments for the improvements to the street.
because there was a concern in my district about that alley I was talking to you about, between Elm and 4th Street.
Right.
Is that on the next year's schedule, or tentatively?
Jim Borski told me about it. I'll be running it through. The first step is a preliminary resolution. We put it on the next Public Works Committee, and if it's approved, that the preliminary resolution puts everybody on notice that the city's considering this as a project. And then the next step, we have a public hearing, probably, we don't have one scheduled. We try to bunch them together
In fall sometime we're looking at
for the
couple
20.
more.
Okay, that's new, they want that, the residents in that area, it's really in bad shape. They want that to be considered, and so I just was wondering the process, so, okay.
Yeah, it's a possibility at this point for 2014. It's give and take. If it's really something that everybody wants, I don't know. See, they haven't seen what it would cost them individually.
Yeah.
That sometimes changes their minds how much they want that project.
There's quite a few calling, not me necessarily, but calling.
Alrighty, oh, they got in pretty quick on the expressway on the east side, that didn't, Treeweiler there didn't take too long.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like it.
No, Treewiller's very fast. You gotta really move to keep in front of him. And we had a little concerns about the traffic control, but those got taken care of. But yeah, he brings in a big crew. He's in and
I never
out.
saw him, I guess, I didn't get by there in the daytime to see.
overnight.
Yeah, well, whatever, yeah, maybe they did it that late at night or
Hit and run.
something, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, that's,
Our other contractors in the past would bring in 4 or 5 guys and they'd be out there for 6 weeks.
what happened before that, on the expressway there on the east side, by the catch basin where a section was?
Well, and I think the rings, the adjustment rings underneath the casting, they failed. Must have been broken up enough and enough water got in there and it allowed the road base underneath the concrete to go into the catch basin. And then that slab sank, cracked right there.
Okay.
So that's what I don't know when we did that.
If,
5 weeks ago.
yeah.
I know, so a few weeks back.
Right.
yeah.
Right, the rings are concrete, well, you can even call them concrete, they're more like cement and sand, and the salt, I don't think they put any air retention in them, so the salt attacks those rings, and over the years, they just crumble to dust, so we use plastic rings now so the salt can't attack them.
All right, any questions by anybody on that one? 11 is to review the referral list. There's one here of 2013, number 1, and that's the request from Ralph Hamill, the truck route that we discussed for a bit of time. And made a motion on what to do, so I think that one can be removed from our list. Dave, on number 5 of that of 2013, that request there,
Well, we did get an official report from the DOT and they recommend not selling or vacating any right of way. So that one's on hold. We may never take that up, I guess. It's up to the
so
committee.
I guess I was getting at, is it best to leave it on or take it off for now?
I guess probably should take it off, because I ran this past Sue Schill and she recommends too that unless we get a concurrence of the DOT, because it carries a state highway, that we shouldn't do anything until then, so we could always put it back on again. Or
Okay,
it can
I
sit
guess
there.
I would look at taking it off.
Yeah, I would too.
Okay.
And as Dave said, if and when it can go back on. So we'll take that one off to number 5 of 2013, so those two would be off, and at least from our list, we'd have 3 left. Any idea with the Paul Gross one, Dave, and the Fleming?
We haven't met with Paul again. We were over there looking at it and at least the first instance that we seen is the rain gutter goes down and he should try to put an extender on the rain gutter and seal around the wall there. Before this.
Okay, you're gonna meet with him or,
Yeah,
And he was
Who
gonna
first?
check in with a plumber on a couple options that he was playing around with.
Okay.
for eliminating that.
yeah,
All right.
that's right. He didn't have all his
Okay.
information yet.
alright.
I would like to see that 2010 taken off.
Okay.
Why don't we get in touch and have her come to our meeting?
Helen?
I think Jim Borski is working on
Oh.
something on that.
Oh, okay.
Can you check with him and get
Okay.
back to us?
Sure.
I think you mentioned that before, now that you said it.
Okay. I can, if you want, if Jim's ready, we can put it on the next
Yeah.
agenda.
If it is, yeah.
Mhm.
What about that 39 of 2012, Dave?
With that, we have to do a speed
Yeah.
study on, and, by the time I got the referral in last fall, it was too late to do it, and now it's spring and everybody's busy. So it probably won't be able to, till early fall, when things slow down again, we'll be able to put,
Yeah, I know you
because
had
it involves
mentioned,
Grand Rapids
I
too.
know you had mentioned about that studies would have to be done, and I guess I'm just wondering when we'd get to that, so.
Yeah, it's probably not gonna be until fall, or if we, sometime in summer, or when the contractors aren't in town, we've got time to run over there.
Okay, that takes care of all our items on the referral list, and before we get the 15, that's not the right number, I guess. 12. To adjourn, I'd like to thank River Cities Community Access for televising this and taping it to be shown a few more times before the council meeting, 3 more, I think. So thank them for the good job they do all the time, taping it, or televising live at times and taping. So with that, committee would be to, I guess, a point to adjourn.
Also move.
I'll second it.
We have a motion to, second to adjourn. All those in favor respond by aye.
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 Opposed, ayes have it. We're adjourned at 6:52, I believe.